Welcome, Lord Mann. Thank you very much for joining us today. The Community Security Trust, CHT, which records anti-Semitic instances, has recorded a record high of 1,805 anti-Semitic instances over the last year, including a 25% rise in violent assaults against Jews and an 82% increase in online hate. Should Jews be afraid of this growing threat, and what can or what should we be doing about this?
Well, I don't think the Jewish community should be afraid. The Jewish community should be well organised and prepared. I mean, the reason for the increase in statistics over the years is partly better reporting, but partly an increase. And the increase is coming not least because of the internet, which of course didn't exist 10 years ago in reality, and that's given what I call the Billy No-Mates, the kid stuck in his bedroom spewing out his poison, the opportunity to get it around the place, whereas before he was stuck on his own. So whether it's an actual increase in the number of anti-Semites, I doubt, but they've had more impact because they've got more media to use to put across their vile thoughts. And so fearful, no. Prepared and alert, yes.
The highest number of anti-Semitic incidents last year coincided with periods when anti-Semitism within the Labour Party was the subject of intense media coverage. The rise of hate crimes coincided with this, can also be seen with, say, anti-Muslim hate crime. So do you think that the increased media coverage leads to more hate crime? And if so, what are politicians doing to counter it, and is this enough?
Well, I don't think the media can be blamed for reporting what's going on. The media's there to report news. So the spikes are when someone does something or fails to do something, and in recent years it's often been fails to do something. Jeremy Corbyn's challenged to do something, does nothing, and that's led to a reaction, and the reaction has led to a open season for some of the anti-Semites continuing their assaults on people. Without question, the growth in the last couple of years has been left-wing anti-Semitism, but that shouldn't mask problems that are still ongoing with Muslim anti-Semitism and with right-wing anti-Semitism, because they remain a big problem.
And so by actually getting involved in doing something, is that the best thing that politicians can do to try and discourage this?
It's the role of politicians to lead. For better or for worse, that's what politicians are put there for, and therefore politicians need to be in the forefront, both in terms of legislation, in terms of what the state does, for example, policing, prosecution and resources for that, education, and what kind of education is provided and to whom. They're vital issues for politicians, but also personally taking a lead in standing up, calling out, challenging anti-Semitism wherever it happens.
Many people watching this podcast, I know, may still be at school or at college, will probably have heard what has often been referred to as either Holocaust jokes or racist jokes, with the fact that they're said in a sort of comical manner, making them seem acceptable. And I'm sure everyone who's watching this will sort of know what I mean when I refer to these. So I'd just be really interesting to hear your perspective on whether you think they're acceptable, or what are your thoughts about the issue?
I think I get often asked the question, what can we do? What can Jewish community do? What can young Jewish people in this country do? My answer's consistently the same, and that is to call out anti-Semitism every time you see it, to stand up for it, and to let people know you've done that. You see, we will win this battle if everyone does their small little part by standing up. If everyone does that, we win. And I think being a bystander is no longer sufficient. People need to be prepared to call things out, not to put themselves at risk in doing so, but to challenge anti-Semitism, different ways of doing so, depending on the situation, the circumstances. But that means, with friends, at school, in the workplace, with people who you know, people you associate with. Indeed, it's even more important that they're called out, and I think that the courage to do that is in itself very empowering. And what we need is every week, week in, week out, thousands of mini heroes who do call things out, who do respond, who do take action, rather than bystanders. And that would be my call to you Jewish people in this country. Don't be a bystander. Be a player in what's going on, and let other people know when you have done, however small the issue. Let other people know that you stood up for what's right.
Would you acknowledge that often when it's your friends or your family or someone who you're close with, it can often be harder or more intimidating to call it out because you're so close with them, or people think that it's not their place to do so?
I think people can think that. I'm not sure it is harder. In many ways it's easier with people who you know. The danger of complacency is my biggest worry with the British Jewish community. Not overreaction, but complacency. I remember when I first chaired the parliamentary committee about 15 years ago, being told by a very senior figure who you all have heard of, who said to me, John, he said, I've not seen any anti-Semitism in this country. My response to that was, well, it's because you operate in different circles to me, because I see it all the time. And I think people underplay the importance of standing up for what's right. And so, yeah, if it's a friend saying something stupid that they don't particularly mean trying to be clever, trying to be funny, then calling that out very politely but very firmly and clearly will have a positive impact. And if everyone does that all the time, then, as I say, we win.
And you mentioned just this notion about living sort of in a bubble, or sort of in an echo chamber. Do you think this is a worry for future, the fact that we're just hearing our own opinions fired back at us?
Well, it's a problem in society. It's not just a problem for the Jewish community, it's a problem across society. The internet's become an echo chamber, and people are emboldened by that. Well, my message is that the Jewish community needs to embolden itself by creating a positive echo chamber. Here's what I called out, here's how I did it, here's the apology I got. That's very positive, that's very empowering for other people to have the confidence to do the same thing. And however it's done, doing it rather than doing nothing is so, so vital.
Thank you very much for your time, Lord Mann. We really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this, do make sure to click subscribe as well as the notifications bell so you can receive part 2 of our interview with Lord Mann. So thank you very much once again, and goodbye.